What's up guys, this is Yasin, and today I'm going to be going over 5 extremely important interactions that I think you have to be aware of, because this is one of the more intricate formats that we've had in quite a while. I mean, there's just so many weird plays that you can do in order to take advantage of the situation, but also on the flip side, you can say that a lot of people are getting punished by things that should be under their control. So as always, smash the like and subscribe button. It really motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these, and also check out my Justice Hunter spreadsheet done in collaboration with Lucas Sacco. It is on my website, yacineygo.com, very first link at the top of the description box below. And with that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, so interaction number 1 is going to be the turn 0 Winda play that the Dragon Tail deck can do, and a very basic example of how Yummy can really punish you for doing the wrong things. So if you activate Obedience School, then your opponent can Winda. This is where, I mean, your opponent will most likely chain 5 mana in order to summon the Winda using Shuttle Beast as well as a Dark Monster. However, if this Dark Monster is Mululu, this is where things can get really awkward, because some players will be like, you know what, I want to use Mululu effect for maximum card advantage and set that K2 or that Reihu Dragon Tail. And this is where it really backfires on your opponent, because Yummy Surprise can now be used and bounce back exactly 2 cards the opponent controls as well as your 2 Yummy monsters. And then you just dealt with a Winda in literally 2 seconds. It's an absolute joke, but if your opponent did not use the effect of that Mululu, he would have only had the Winda on the field, and Yummy Surprise cannot be used because, again, it has to bounce back exactly 2 cards. It's not up to 2 cards. So it's actually funny how your opponent trying to get an extra +1 completely backfired, and is the reason why he just lost an unlosable game. And it can happen. I mean, it has happened in theory with me. So yeah, this is something to keep in mind. And yeah, just don't mess up if you're the Dragon Tail player, and if you're the Yummy player, don't mess up and understand that you can do this. Okay, so for interaction number 2, this is also really interesting. Let's just say that I am playing Yummy and my opponent is playing a K9 based strategy, or maybe the other way around. So I'm playing K9 and my opponent is playing Yummy. My opponent uses Obedience Schooled, I chained the Molchimi Fueros, and then I get ashed on the Fua. So the Obedience Schooled resolves, and then my opponent summons 3 Yummy monsters. The Fua is negated, obviously, but my opponent used the monster effect in the hand or graveyard, which means that my Izuna is now live, which is not something that happens really often against Yummy, but since it is live, I can actually go for a rank 5, and most players would actually go for like a Valon or a Nash Knight and try to time their interruption correctly. But look at this. Look at what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna summon the Nash Knight, and I'm going to be doing absolutely nothing. I'm literally just going to let my opponent full combo, because this Nash Knight is untargetable thanks to the Lupus underneath. So all I gotta do is just nothing. I wait until my opponent, plays the game. I overlay into the CXC's Nash Knight, or I can just go battle phase right away, and then I can run over a monster and then make a Zeus, and nothing could be targeted. Absolutely nothing at all, because again, Lupus is still underneath. And now I have a 4 Material Zeus, so even if my opponent is able to make a Herald of Arclight to negate my first, my first Zeus usage, it's not gonna be enough, because I can just use the effect again. And unless my opponent also has Imperm, it's not gonna work. So yeah, this is a way you can win a completely unwinnable game just by making a Zeus on turn 0. Just because your Izuna was live, because your Chummy, like your Pearlia or your Fua, got ashed. Okay, so for interaction number 3, this is going to be a really interesting one that I think not a lot of players really know, but Molchimi Pearlia is an Aqua monster. So I Pearlia my opponent, I get ashed, it's fine, whatever, it doesn't matter. I just wanted the card in the grave. Normal summon Sword, get your X, and then search for the node, and then at this point I will be going, okay, Izuna, and then send the Lupus. It's actually a good thing that I get ashed on my Chummy. So that's like one of the main appeal to playing a Chummy, like playing Chummies when you're playing Izuna. It really forces your opponent to like ash your Chummies, which makes the Izuna live earlier than it should be, which means that you can actually use it as a real interruption instead of like a super delayed interruption. And now my opponent can still play the game a little bit, but it's not going to be the end of the world. So, do a drive, search the stars, search the ice, set the field spell, and then flip that, draw a card, whatever, I don't care, summon the ice, and then detonator, equip back the Twins of the Eclipse. And this is still really impressive, right? There's a detonator with Twins of the Eclipse, the field spell, and the twins can revive back the detonator at any moment. But I'm not scared, because I have Nash Knight, so I'm going to be using Nash Knight's effect. My opponent will chain detonator, which will make the Nash Knight die completely. I can't absorb this. It's not like 1000 Ice Restrict, because it has to attach a number first and then attach back the monster. However, my Nash Knight is now in the graveyard, so there's Nash Knight with Silent Honor Arc and Molchimi Pearlia. 3 Aqua monsters in my grave, and just in case you didn't know, Chaotic Elements is kind of like Engage. It has like a bonus effect when there's 3 or more Pyro and or Aqua monsters in your grave on resolution of you searching. It also destroys a card on the field. So we're going to be searching for the Lantern and then destroy that field spell. And we're not done yet, because Chaotic Elements has another bonus effect where you can banish it, and then if your opponent has a light or dark Pyro or Aqua monster, you can take control of any monster your opponent controls until the end phase. So we target the detonator, and then, you know, the opponent self-destructs with the detonator, provides it back, and then equips back the Twins of the Eclipse. And then pretty much with one single Lantern, you can kind of just play around it. So, you know, you go into Valon, you make it untargetable because of the Lupus, and then you can play the game. And then you've got, like, infinite other cards to play with. So, yeah, it's pretty much impossible to lose at this point. It's pretty impressive. Okay, so interaction number 4 is how Yumi can actually win through Paradise Smasher. So look at this. I summon Joe and then Joe I go with Joe effect, and then, you know, I get Fuad, whatever. I search for my Izuna, and I start playing into the Fuad, so I make the Ripper, search for the Lantern, set the X-Force release, and then normal summon Lantern, so that I'm not locked under the light to monster only restriction, and then special summon the Izuna, dump the Lupus, and then revive back, and then activate the case so I can search any level 5 monster, doesn't matter, and then make the Paradise Smasher, my opponent gets another draw, and then detach 2, and then my opponent plays the game. So if I have, like, if my opponent has, like, Obedience Cooled and Yummy Surprise, this is where it can get really nasty for me as the K9 player, because there's a lot of ways my opponent can just destroy me completely. And one of the ways is by, you know, setting a card bluffing like you're going to end of turn. Like, you just say end of main phase. It could be end of main phase 1 to go into end phase, or end of main phase 1 to go into, you know, start of the battle phase. You know, if you don't react to end of main phase, your opponent can just choose to go into battle phase, and then activate the Yummy Surprise to bounce back the Ripper as well as the X-Force release, because this is a during the main phase only card. So this is like one of the really nasty ways your opponent can break the board, and your opponent will bounce back 2 Yummies and then bounce back your 2 cards. And then there's no more Ripper, and you don't have to worry about like a pop as well as the Werewolf. And then you just go like summon all of your Yummies, and you pretty much make an unbreakable board on your opponent's turn. And there is, you know, there's like a level 1 monster, 2 Link 1s. And this is really, really scary. Like, you can just go, okay, make a, like a, you know, battle phase attack, your opponent will make a Cupsy, whatever. And your opponent can still guarantee to play the game, so you're going to be in a really bad position if your opponent can do all of that against you. Finally, and this is going to be a pretty generic one, but I'm going to be using the Blue Eyes example just because it's like the easier one. You can delay like the graveyard effect or the in-hand effect that you're using. So for example, if I go like Wishes to search Sage and whatever, and it would be very correct to use Maiden early on. Just because I can doesn't mean I should, so I'm not even going to be using the in-hand effect of Maiden. I'm just going to be normal summoning it, and then I'm going to be, you know, at this point using the on-field effect in order to set True Light, and then activate the spell card to revive back, and then revive back the Maiden. And then at this point my opponent can chain Izuna, but it's too late because I can simply negate the graveyard effect of Ripper with Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, and then, you know, I can still play the game really well, so I can make Hieratic Seal as well as the trap card. And the Spirit can not only negate the graveyard effect of Lupus again for next turn, just because, you know, Hieratic Seal will trigger an effect in the graveyard. The whole K9 engine is completely crippled by Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. This is like one of the only real situations where Blue Eye Spirit's continuous effect is absolutely nasty. It's like for Pendulum Summoning, and also for this, it is completely ridiculous how they cannot deal with it. They can just like normal summon monsters. And, you know, that's pretty much it. But like, no Joku in a hand effect, no Lantern. You guys are always special summoning 2 or more monsters at the same time, so this is a really bad situation for K9 decks to be under. So Blue Eyes can be a really good meta call in this situation if you know exactly how to beat Izuna. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this quick little video on the most important interactions that you can take advantage of. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon with another video. Peace.